Throughout the course of a long season, opportunities always arise, and with Justin Verlander landing on the injured list, it's time for an exciting young player, we just don't know who, to take over.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. My name is Ben Kaspick, and on this show we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday, talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that's data-driven and rational, but also simple, passionate, and accessible to all. I'm a former contributor for the baseball statistics and analysis websites Beyond the Box Score and RotoGraphs. I've been podcasting about the Giants since 2015, hosting this show for over 6 years, and I'm a lifelong Giants fan. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, so check us out there if you have not already, and please hit that subscribe button wherever it is that you're following the show so you get notified immediately when these episodes go live, Monday through Friday. And coming up on today's show, Justin Verlander to the injured list, how it creates an opportunity for somebody, and there's a lot of intriguing options. We're going to run through the most likely options and why those options are exciting. We're also going to take stock of the team at the 50-game mark. Giants 29-21 after losing 2 out of 3 to the Royals at home. A little bit disappointing they're not winning in the finale. And then finally, we're going to dive deep into what exactly is behind the success that they've had 50 games into the season. We're going to look at the hitting and the pitching and the defense, everything. So anyway, the first order of business is that Justin Verlander is heading to the injured list. I don't know that they officially actually put him on the injured list yet. Actually, I'm pretty sure they did not at the time of this recording. Giants are off today, so they don't have to do it yet, but he is going to go on the IL with nerve irritation in his right pectoral muscle, something that popped up in his last start. So, essentially, so they say the Giants are confident that he's going to miss just 2 starts is the word here. For some reason, I can't find the exact quote that says that the Giants are confident that he's going to miss only 2 starts. But the big story to me is that it's going to create an opportunity potentially for an exciting young player. Just like Jordan Hicks struggling created the opportunity for Hayden Birdsong to jump into that rotation. So now all of a sudden you could have Logan Webb, Landon Roop, Hayden Birdsong, and fill in the blank. Is it Kyle Harrison? Is it Carson Whisenhunt? Like, those 2 are perhaps the front runners. I would say that Kyle Harrison is by far the biggest front runner because he's on the team already, and Carson Whisenhunt isn't even on the 40-man roster, although the Giants don't even have a full 40-man roster, so they could easily add Carson Whisenhunt without having to DFA anybody. But Kyle Harrison has been pretty electric out of the bullpen. He has struck out 1/3 of all batters he's faced in 5 1/3 innings. He's also walked a little bit too many guys. One of those walks was intentional. It kind of bothers me that gets actually factored into walk rate because he didn't actually walk the guy. The manager walked the guy. So I didn't even know that they count intentional walks in your walk rate, but I am aware that they do. And so anyway, I mean, Kyle Harrison, he never pitched out of the bullpen in his career until just the other day. And I think it was in Chicago when he debuted. I could be misremembering that, but he spent all of last season, made 24 starts, pitched 124 1/3 innings in the Giants rotation. And the results weren't great, but for a pitcher who was 22 years old, with the pedigree that he has, wasn't a first-round pick, but first round material, and Giants got him, by taking him in the third round and paying him first round money. But anyway, he put together a 4.56 ERA, strikeout rate 22.2%. The velocity was down. It was just 92.5 on average, whereas so far this year in the major leagues, he's averaging 95.8 with the fastball, and he's throwing it a little more than he did last year. Also throwing more sliders and way fewer changeups. Looks like last year he threw about 20% changeups. Right now he's thrown 4% changeups so far this year. It's a very small sample, but interesting, just kind of more of everything and basically canning the changeup. Although the changeup, 88 mile an hour average velocity, whereas last year it was 85. So everything, actually the slider is now slower, so it's a probably different movement profile. But the real thing here to be mindful of is the 3 mile an hour increase in fastball velocity. Now it's different when you're pitching out of the bullpen. You can kind of just let it go full bore and you're only pitching like an inning or two and then you have rest. Whereas if you're going like 6 innings, it's hard to maintain whatever, like 96 on average out of the rotation. But nonetheless, I think that Kyle Harrison is the front runner, and all of a sudden, to me, that just makes for an exciting rotation and one that I think people were waiting for eventually to come around this season, with Hayden Birdsong being in it and Kyle Harrison being in it. And another guy to like just mention here is Carson Whisenhunt, who was the Giants' second round draft pick in 2022. He is really pitching well in a very difficult league to pitch in, the Pacific Coast League in AAA. He's got an ERA of 3.00, strikeout rate 26%, walk rate 3.5%. That's so low. And he's getting ground balls. And I mean, a 3 ERA in that league is just really, really something that stands out. And also he's pitched 7 innings in 4 consecutive starts. So I think like hierarchy wise, it'll go to Harrison probably because he's more of a veteran. It's funny to call him a veteran. He's 23, but he pitched out of the rotation so much last season, whereas Whisenhunt would be making his major league debut. So it'd be a little bit strange to just add Whisenhunt and then have him leapfrog ahead of Kyle Harrison. But that's kind of how it went with Hayden Birdsong in a sense, although Birdsong obviously pitched last year too, but Harrison had more pedigree and more experience, and yet this year it was Birdsong who cracked the opening day rotation and or opening day roster, I should say, and well, Harrison was like sick and missed time and velocity was down during spring training. So it was really Roop and Birdsong that were battling for a rotation spot. So anyway, I don't know. The fact is, to me, even though Verlander figures to come back, it's an opportunity to see what you have with potentially Kyle Harrison, potentially Carson Whisenhunt. There are other guys who could be candidates, but I really think those are the main two. And the third option is the least exciting by far, and that would be just putting Jordan Hicks back in the rotation. But either way, you're going to add someone to the roster, and it's going to be a pitcher because you're going to put a pitcher on the injured list. And so there's a bunch of guys on the 40-man, like Tristan Beck and Sean Jelly, both of whom are pitching really well. So that's what I would probably expect, is Harrison into the rotation and then either Jelly or Beck to the bullpen. But there are even other guys like Trevor McDonald, and I mean, there's just a lot of the Giants have a lot of young pitching talent. Mason Black, I mentioned Sean Jelly already. So anyway, Jordan Hicks could go back. That would be the boring thing to do, but he's more stretched out to be a starter than Harrison at this point because he just recently left the rotation and Harrison has not started in a while. So anyway, coming up in just a minute, we'll take a step back. The Giants have played exactly 50 games. We'll analyze their performance, what's behind their success, what are areas for improvement. Get into it in just a minute, and before we do, today's episode of Locked on Giants is brought to you in part by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site that is made for the skilled trades. Supply House, whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it is your turn. Join the free TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering HVAC, plumbing, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. All right, here we go. We're going to take stock of the San Francisco Giants at the 50-game mark of the season. Kind of flown by, but yet here we are. They have played 50 games. They're 29-21. Thanks again for making Locked on Giants your first listen every day. Every dayers tomorrow, we are going to get to some more of your questions. And so I think the 50-game mark is a very appropriate time to ask some big picture questions. And so I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say, what you have to ask. So look out on Twitter and YouTube for a prompt going out today, and we'll get to those questions tomorrow. So anyway, 50 games is 30.8 or 0.9% of the season. So 70-ish% of the season to go. And so a long way to go. So it's still early, but at the same time, by 50 games, a lot has been established, and you can say some things with some degree of confidence. And what I can say with confidence is that there are two things that are behind the Giants' success mainly. And those two things are pitching and clutch hitting. Clutch hitting. And it's continued the clutch hitting. That's what I want to discuss first, because I find it to be really interesting in that overall, the Giants' offense ranks 16th in the league, which is not horrible in terms of weighted runs created plus, at 98. So they've been roughly a league average offense when you take context out of the equation. For context, the league average batting average is 244. The Giants' batting average is 236, so 8 points below average. The Giants' on base percentage is 313. League average is 316, so 3 points below average in that category. League average slugging is 396. Giants are at 388. And so all of those coming in below average by, in some cases, a fairly significant margin. Actually, they're pretty close to average in all of them. But they also, weighted runs created plus, it takes their difficult ballpark to hit into account. And so that is, gives them a little credit for playing in a tough place to hit. Their strikeout rate as a team is the 9th highest at 22.8. The league average strikeout rate is 21.9, so it's not like a huge difference. The Angels have struck out the most, tied with the Rockies actually at 26.8%. So anyway, I mean, it's not crazy high, but it is what it is. It's not nothing really jumps off the page. Their walk rate is nice at 9.5%, which is the 8th highest, and the league average is 8.7%. But anyway, the point is, overall, roughly league average offense. Yet, by runs scored, they're ninth at 230 runs scored. So it doesn't really make sense unless you figure, okay, they must do well in big situations. And sure enough, if you look at FanGraphs leverage index and put how have the Giants done in high leverage situations, what FanGraphs defines as high leverage, I don't know exactly what the criteria is, but they do a good job of defining high leverage situations. And the Giants, like I said, their weighted runs created plus overall is 98. 100 is average, so that means 2% below average. But their weighted runs created plus in high leverage situations is 157. 57% above average offense if the situation is high leverage. So their batting average in those situations in 199 plate appearances is 307. Their on-base percentage is 390, and their slugging is 542. So just unequivocally, is that the right word? Like, they've just been very, very good offensively. The only team that's been better in high leverage situations is the Tigers, who have the best record in baseball right now. And the Giants' strikeout rate, I've said this before when we've looked at this, in high leverage situations is so low. So I don't know if that's just how it's played out. They just happen. Maybe that's why their overall numbers are good, is because when you put the ball in play, like, you're giving yourself a chance at least to do something. Whereas when you strike out, you're definitely going to get out. But it's just 14.6%, almost 10 percentage points lower than their overall strikeout rate. So that is the lowest in high leverage situations of any team. Next closest team is at 16% in high leverage situations. Giants at 14.6. And so for whatever reason, like, this is possibly something that is approach based, and it's not the same as runner on third, less than 2 outs. It's high leverage. They have continued to manage to do very well. I've checked on this. This is probably the third time periodically this season, and they've kept it up. And their walk rate in high leverage situations is third highest. Their average is third. Their on-base percentage is second. Their slugging is second. So, yeah, I mean, they've just been great. And their batting average on balls in play, it's not like that's through the roof. It's just 318 in those situations. So, anyway, this tends to not be like a sustainable thing or like a skill-based thing. It's just kind of how I don't want to call it luck, but it's not necessarily sustainable. Certainly, like, year to year, you see some teams, it just seems to be kind of random, like what teams do well in high leverage situations, especially relative to their overall numbers. Like, again, I've done this before, but let's look at low leverage situations. Where do the Giants rank? They are right in the middle with a 102 weighted runs created plus. And in medium leverage situations, this is where it's funny. They're 27th. So as I've said, like, don't you dare put the Giants in a medium leverage situation, because they're not going to hit. It's either high leverage or low leverage. Low leverage, they'll do okay. High leverage, they'll do great. And this is more like telling a story, so I shouldn't say they will. It's more like they have done great in high leverage. They have done poorly in medium leverage for whatever reason. So we can also just say, runners in scoring position. I know a lot of people focus on that number. Giants they've been the third best team by weighted runs created plus with runners in scoring position at 127. So 274 average, 354 on base, 473 slugging. The strikeout rate, 21.6%. So that's more in their normal range. But this explains why they've been a league average offense context neutral, yet they're better than that in runs scored and runs per game. It's just that they've come through in high leverage situations. So if there's anything else that I can look at, bases loaded we can look at, and the Giants are 5th with a 195 weighted runs created plus, hitting 353, 444 on base, 647 slugging in 45 bases loaded plate appearances. And if we just say runners on, the Giants come in at 101 with their weighted runs created plus. That's 826 plate appearances. You can kind of see, like, the bigger the sample, the less weird things get and things look more like their normal numbers. So just runners on in general, they've been more like their normal selves, and bases empty in general, they've been more like their normal selves with a 95 weighted runs created plus in 1,041 plate appearances. So anyway, it's not necessarily sustainable, but it is what's happened, and those wins that they've gotten from clutch hitting, for example, are in the bank. And so the Giants sit at 29-21. Their run differential is plus 42, which suggests a record of 30-20. So a win better than their actual record. And they're 2 games out of first place. I think anyone would have taken that to start the season at the 50-game point to be only 2 games out of first. And they are the second wildcard team right now. And they have a 2-game lead over a playoff spot. So, again, I think anyone would have taken that. So on the flip side, we've discussed the offense. We'll look at pitching and defense in just a minute. And before we get into it, all right, as promised, we're going to get into pitching and defense, which was, I don't want to say supposed to be the hallmark of this team. What I mean is that was kind of the emphasis by president of baseball operations, Buster Posey, was pitching and defense and timely hitting. It's kind of like the mantra that people have discussed regarding the Giants for a very long time. And, I think that their offense in the championship years was underrated. They had some really good offensive players. Buster Posey, Hall of Fame level player, in my opinion. Brandon Belt was always underrated offensively. Hunter Pence was kind of a monster offensively when he was at his best. And a lot of useful players elsewhere. Pablo Sandoval was very good when he was good. So anyway, nonetheless, that was the mantra coming into the season. And, one of the things that jumps off the page is when we look at relief pitcher ERA, the Giants are first. If we look at overall ERA, the Giants are 6th with a 3.38 ERA. And so you'll again, if you told me that before the season, Giants will be 6th in ERA at the 50-game mark, I would say I would expect pretty good results. And in fact, the results have been pretty good. This is where they get kind of dinged, though, for playing in a pitcher-friendly park. Well, not dinged, but Fangraphs uses fielding independent pitching for their wins above replacement calculation, and by fielding independent pitching, the Giants are 4th overall, starters and relievers. Yet by wins above replacement, they're 9th, and so that's, I think, where it is dinging you a little bit for, just like you get a little bit of credit for hitting at Oracle Park, you get a little bit knocked against you for pitching at Oracle Park. And it's only fair. To account for the ballpark is the right thing to do. The starters have an ERA that is 17th. So that has not been the bright spot. Logan Webb got lit up yesterday, which obviously wasn't really expected based on the season that he's had. His ERA is 2.67. So it's just batting average on balls in play, 341 against Logan Webb. That's very high. But nonetheless, he's managed, if you look at the ERA, the expected ERA, the fielding independent pitching, everything very good. So, he's not been the issue behind the fact that they're only 17th in ERA by their starters. It's more, it's really Jordan Hicks with a 6.55 ERA and Justin Verlander with a 4.33. For Hicks, the peripherals are better and suggest way better results. And for Verlander, they're not really. And so Verlander has been kind of a disappointment, kind of what you would expect from a 42-year-old pitcher. And that's why it's exciting to have potentially Webb and Roop and Birdsong and Robbie Ray, who's been great, and maybe Kyle Harrison in that rotation. But they're going to let Verlander continue to pitch as long as he's healthy, I would imagine. But yeah, so by ERA, their starters are 17th, but by fielding independent pitching, they're third with a 3.41, about 0.41, actually exactly 0.41 runs worse than their ERA. And so, that takes a guy like Jordan Hicks into account, who has just underperformed his peripherals. And so has Landon Roop, for the record. And so, yeah, the ERA for their starters, I would expect to come down and more so start to line up with their fielding independent pitching. The relievers have an ERA that is first at 2.66, yet their fielding independent pitching is 3.52, 0.9-ish runs higher per 9 innings. And so that fielding independent pitching is sixth, whereas the ERA is first by a significant margin. So, the bullpen has definitely been a strength. When you look at Randy Rodriguez has been a breakout star reliever, really, I would say. Camilo Doval, major rebound season, as we said he would probably have. Ryan Walker has an ERA of 5, but peripherals that are much better. He's blown a couple games, but I would expect better results moving forward. Tyler Rogers has been kind of a rock. Eric Miller, 1.65 ERA. Spencer Bivens has done a very fine job as kind of a long mop-up guy with a 3.55 ERA. And really just the only guy who has truly struggled, I guess Ryan Walker to an extent, but Lou Trevino, who was DFA'd and is no longer on the team, and now I think he's on the Major League roster with the Dodgers, actually. So anyway, that's the pitching side of things. It's been a strength. The defense is a little bit harder to put my finger on, and we didn't get into like individual hitters. Like I do want to focus on like Willy Adames and how it's definitely been a struggle for him. Only 0.2 Fangraphs wins above replacement in 50 games, which is, it's just been a disappointing start to his Giants tenure. He's played in all 50 games. I think he's the only player who's played in all 50 games for the Giants. He is. And I don't know. I mean, Jung-Hoo Lee has done really well. Elliot Ramos has done very well, and that's a big deal. Mike Yastrzemski, nice rebound season to date. Patrick Bailey doing it with the glove, but not so much with the bat. Tyler Fitzgerald doing it and proving last year was no fluke. But defensively, like one of the guys I think about, and Lamont Wade Jr., by the way, big time struggles, negative 0.8 Fangraphs wins above replacement. So defensively, this is where, if we look at there's this metric for defense called DEF, which is defensive runs above average, and it takes positional adjustments into account. So it's not just, it's like basically if you have a really good shortstop, that's more valuable than a really good defensive first baseman, for example. And I don't know if this takes it does take catchers into account. And the Giants only rank 18th in this category. By defensive runs saved, they rank 13th at plus 15. And so, I don't know. I mean, that's way above average, and yet it's only 13th. And so that's one thing to be mindful of. By framing, they rank second with 5.4 runs above average. By the StatCast metric, outs above average, they rank 28th, and that's not accounting for framing, though. Outs above average, 28th. So, I don't know. Defensive runs saved tells a different story than outs above average, and outs above average doesn't count catchers, so maybe it's just Patrick Bailey doing, a lot of work. Yeah, he puts up 7 defensive runs saved, and that's not being counted in the outs above average number. Matt Chapman, also 7 defensive runs saved, and at the very bottom of the list, Willy Adames, -7 defensive runs saved, and LaMonte Wade Jr., -5, Elliot Ramos, -4. So it's harder to put your finger on like defense, I think. And by the eye test, I think Adames has been disappointing. I think Ramos is a little bit inconsistent, sometimes makes nice plays, sometimes makes really bad plays. And as always, Patrick Bailey, who we did a deep dive on yesterday, has been a game changer defensively. So even when he's not hitting at all, he's still valuable. So anyway, that is all the time we have for today. Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Once again, my name is Ben Kaspick. Check me out on Twitter or X at Ben Kaspick, Kaspick. If you like this show, please consider rating it or leaving a review. It helps me out so much, so thank you in advance, and thanks to everyone who's done so already. Can't wait to be with you again tomorrow. Thanks again for listening today. You are now Locked On Giants.